either guys learn or, you got to change who's in there. Myself included. If I can't execute, then you got to take me out. That's just the way the group rolls. That's the way we've always done. But I think we have the capable men of doing that. I think in a short week it comes down into those execution type of plays. Thursday games always come down to, who can make the least amount of mistakes is usually the team that wins on these Thursday nights.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Extra Point presented by Microsoft Surface. I'm Missi Matthews, and today breaking down the Steelers' second Thursday night game, this one ending in a loss 21-18 to the New England Patriots. Joining me today, we have Wes Uhler of Steelers Nation Radio and his co-partner, Arthur Moats and JMU Hall of Famer. And guys, the score makes it seem like, okay, it was a normal ball game, but Wes, it was really anything but, and in the midst of 5 days, 2 losses back-to-back for the Steelers.
Yeah, and 2 losses, Missy, just when you thought you were hitting your stride, right? You take some steps forward against Cincinnati, that elusive 400-yard mark that we had all been waiting for from the offense. Yeah, still only 16 points, but you left that game feeling better about Kenny Pickett, better about the weapons and attacking the middle of the field, better about where the offense was going to be able to grow. And then you looked up at the schedule and you saw, wow, back-to-back 2-10 teams, both at home. This is favorable. We should win both of these. Should be in a position to really have a grasp on our playoff destiny. And just in the course of less than a week here, it's gone the opposite direction. Frustrating. And now just when we started to think we were getting some answers to a lot of these questions we've been asking since September, all of a sudden, now again, it feels like we've got more questions than answers as we hit the final stretch here of the season.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, we're middle of this journey, right? I call it the valley situation. We're coming off of that mountaintop of when it was Big Ben, the Killer Bee era and stuff like that. And now we're transitioning to this new era. And we're 2 years in it. And yes, it has not been as smooth as we wanted to have been. Granted, we are winning. Granted, at times we are competitive. But as a whole, we have new players in here that really are having to carve out who they are, create their own legacy. And what we are also having to do as a fan base is test our patience. Are we invested enough to allow it time to develop, to allow these guys to become the new characters that we love in Steelers Nation? Or are we going to just, go to the quick transition of, man, it's not working right now. We need some instant gratification. Let's make another big time move real quick. That's kind of this crossroads that we're in as a team, as an organization. And I mean, it's we haven't experienced this type of feeling in a long time, where we're sitting here on back-to-back losses to teams that we definitely should have beat. But at the same time, we're not going to minimize what the Patriots were able to do. We're not going to minimize what the Cardinals were able to do, because they are professionals. And that's the other part that we can't lose sight of. Just because a record is 2 wins or 3 wins does not mean that they don't have high quality players. It does not mean that they don't have players that are good enough to beat you. If you don't come out here and play your best game, if you don't prepare to the best of your abilities, you're going to lose. That's the nature of this game at this level.
Arthur, from a player perspective, it felt like the loss to the Cardinals, okay, it's a short week. You have to wipe that slate clean, move on to the next. But the Thursday night loss, and in the manner, and because it's back-to-back, is it better or worse that now you have a longer stretch before your next game?
Yeah, I think the longer stretch will help for a couple of reasons. Number one, we had a transition at quarterback. People kind of forget that. It's like, it's Mitch Trubisky, but it's Mitch Trubisky with 2 days, which are glorified walkthroughs on a Thursday night game of preparation. It's not going to be a lot of change. It's not going to be a lot of, man, let's add this to the game plan because of the short week. So I do think that when you're going to give them these extra days on the front end prior to it even becoming Sunday of a regular work week, I do think that's going to help them out. I think it's going to help Eddie Faulkner and Mike Sullivan out as well, because just like Mitch being new in this position, those 2 guys are also new, and they were having to prepare on a short week versus one of the greatest defensive minds to ever coach at this level in Bill Belichick. But once again, we have to understand that coming into these situations, we want to have high expectations because the standard truly is the standard. But at the same time, context matters. Our offense is not at the same level of our defense. So when we're watching these games in stadium take place, we're going to feel more confident in our defense. we're going to see a little bit more consistency with the defense. Whereas the flip side with the offense is going to take a little bit of more time. It's not going to always be linear. But if we stick the course, eventually this thing will get right.
All right, well, you brought up Mitch Trubisky. Sorry, Wes. Real quick, we heard from him post-game. Let's take a quick listen before we talk more about the Steelers offense.
It's tough. It's tough. Everyone's frustrated, but as you can see, the game is close and the tide can turn very quick. And I feel like even in the second half or the first half, things weren't going our way. We kind of got some momentum in the second half, and that's why I just try to relay to the young guys who haven't played a lot of ball in the NFL. The games are going to be close. They're going to come down to the end, and it's those little plays that can turn the tide and momentum. So you can't let your frustrations get in the way of what can potentially be a big play to turn that tide and be there for the team. So we just got to continue to stick together, pull each other in, learn from our mistakes, and it starts with me being a better leader and getting the guys right.
Wes, and one of the things that did surprise me, whether it was Mitch or Kenny at quarterback, was the Steelers' run game that we've seen have so much success these previous weeks. What do you think the biggest takeaway from the offense and their performance was for you last night?
Yeah, the lack of that run game. Missy, I'm glad you kind of teed me up perfectly on that one. I think, listen, with the long week here, you could maybe get tempted to try some new things. We've got extra time to prepare. I would go the opposite way. I think you go back to what worked in Cincinnati and what worked at times in that matchup against Cleveland as well, too, the week before in those back-to-back games in Ohio, and that was the run game. The Steelers had great success on the ground. We're starting to get momentum going with Jaylen Warren, with Najee Harris behind that offensive line, and then that in turn opened up some things for Kenny Pickett when the Steelers were in Ohio, right? We all saw it against Cincinnati, those shots over the middle, more chunk plays. And we all know, without a doubt, the Steelers offense needs those explosive plays. We talked about that all year coming into this season, and that has continued. But to set that up, you got to walk before you can run type thing. To set that up, continue to run the ball successfully, get back to that just great tandem that you had with Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris, and then play off of that. Little play action, little middle of the field. Yes, a couple shots downfield, particularly when you see that single high like you did last night against the Patriots. But that, to me, it sounds cliched, but in this elongated stretch here, or this couple extra days that you have here, I'm going back to basics. Hopefully Mason Cole and Isaac Seumalo get a little bit healthier. We know they were questionable going into the game, a little banged up there. Hopefully the couple extra days can make that difference. Get those guys right, get the run game right. That's going to help Mitch Trubisky. You're going to be able to play off of that, use the middle of the field more, hopefully hit a couple of those downfield shots, Deontay and George Pickens as well, too. Don't try and get cute, right, for lack of a better term, with this extra time. In fact, use it to kind of turn back the clocks a little bit and look at when you've had the most success on offense this season, and that's been when you've had those guys going in the backfield.
Yeah, and I thought you brought up some good points right there. Attacking the single high. To me, last night's game was literally them winning their one-on-ones, and we did not win our one-on-ones. Watch how Belichick played us. He simply said, I'm not going to allow Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris to beat us today. We're going to play single high safety. We're going to pack this box and make you beat us one-on-one on the outside. Unfortunately, we did not do it consistently enough. Literally, the only time we really won on the outside was the Deontay Johnson touchdown where they called that cover zero blitz and Deontay beats the guy off the line of scrimmage. Outside of that, we didn't have a lot of just winning one-on-ones. So in contrast, we saw our offense really struggle to find a rhythm because our offense isn't predicated off of throwing the ball and then we run. No, we do it the other way. We have success running the ball, and that's what opens up our passing attack. So for us, that was the part that really hurt us. And then the flip side, we challenged Bailey Zappi in a similar manner. The difference was he was able to make a couple of those plays in that first half, ultimately getting them that lead. But in the second half, he did not have as many of those. They winning the one-on-ones on the perimeter. They're winning the one-on-ones down the grass. And that was why we were able to cut it to what we did in the second half. But unfortunately, this really boils down to just, did you win your one-on-one? Even in the run game. Are you winning your one-on-one when you're blocking guys? We're trying to run plays and we're watching the same guy beat a guy up front. That's the stuff that if we're seeing one-on-ones in pass pro, if we're seeing one-on-ones down the grass, it still matters in run blocking as well. And that's the unfortunate part right now because this team does have talent. but they don't have enough talent that you can come out here and pick and choose when you want to do all the little things right, when you want to operate with the type of urgency that Cam Hayward was talking about, or even Minkah Fitzpatrick post-game was referring to. That's the stuff that we got to understand with this new group, that we have not accomplished anything just yet. They're not going to just give it to you because you play for the Steelers. You have to go out here and earn it every single day, not just on game day. That's the easy day. You got to do it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, non-Thursday game day, Friday, Saturday, when it's not convenient, when it's not fun. But if you do that, that's going to give you a chance to go out there and have that success that we as a Steeler nation have become so accustomed to.
In terms of Bailey Zappi, though, Arthur, 21 points in the first half. Why did it take them so long to correct in terms of the Steelers' defense and do what we saw in the second half, in your opinion?
Yeah, so to me, I think it was the perfect example of when injuries start to pile up and the team finds a matchup. This is where you can't hide it schematically. So you think about it. We're down to our fourth inside linebacker. So Michael Walker, he started in this league. He's had success in this league. But that was the guy that they identified as the guy that we feel the best against. So they said, we're going to use Hunter Henry and work against him. We're going to use Ezekiel Elliott with the receiver or a tight end and make Mike Walker have to decide, does he want to go underneath a pick route or go over top of the pick route? In either decision, he's going to be wrong. So now you start to pick on him a little bit like that. Then you get, two nice throws by Bailey Zappi down the grass where Casey is just a half second late. Just barely misses it. But that's the difference of first half, them making them plays and ultimately going up 3 scores. And in contrast, in the second half, where we started to make a little bit of changes defensively and saying, hey, we're not going to just allow you to isolate this guy one-on-one and take advantage of it. We see that you've identified that as your flavor this week. Well, we're going to make an adjustment off of that. Problem was, it just took them a couple of plays too long to identify that. But at the same time, when you're going through the injuries that we were dealing with, that's part of the give and take with it. And that's the part where you tip your cap and say, you know what, they get paid too over there. They identified a matchup that they liked, and yeah, they had success. But we did make that adjustment in the second half, and that was the positive part.
Wes, we also saw Michael Walker, though, with an interception, but not able to capitalize and score the points, where on the flip side, as Coach Tomlin said, the Patriots were able to do that.
They were, and that's kind of been a theme, right, for this team over the last, year and 3 quarters. I mean, Mike Tomlin said something similar last year after the Sunday night performance down in Miami, I remember, right? I think Kenny threw 3 interceptions in that game, and in that same game, like Minkah dropped a potential interception. I think Cam Sutton dropped a potential interception, and Coach kind of highlighted, as this defense is built, they need to lead the way. They need to give the offense short field of opportunities, all those different things. That was a big part of getting the game turned around out in L.A. against the Rams, right at the start of the third quarter when T.J. Watt had that interception that he took all the way back to the 6-yard line. And so, yeah, you continue to get that splash from your defense, even when it was shorthanded. You got a punt block as well, too, from Miles Killebrew last night. That's the formula. I mean, guys, we all know this, right? That is the formula for the Steelers in these close games. Make those types of plays on defense and special teams that can be the difference. That's why the Steelers at one point had rattled off 9 straight wins in 1-score games, which is just unheard of in the NFL. But that's also the blessing and the curse, the double-edged sword of that, right? Is that if you aren't able to capitalize in that one moment, it's going to cost you. And you heard Mitch Trubisky talking about that in the clip that we played earlier. You know, these games are going to be close. It's going to come down to one of those 2 little things. You were able to get some momentum, some field flipping type plays from your defense and your special teams. You got to be able to capitalize on those opportunities if you want to turn this thing around over these last 4 games.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time, your input as we break down the Steelers' loss. They face the Colts next Saturday. So as Arthur, you said, a little bit of an extended time. Look in the mirror, fix some things. And thanks everybody at home for watching the Extra Point presented by Microsoft Surface. We'll see you guys next week.